Pretty fun. I have pretty minimal notes because I think a lot of it is just sort of in here and just like
same
gonna
with
be
me
more
this
just
week.
like chatting.
I have thoughts written down because this is such a big like there's so many big topics that I just like wrote down my thoughts, but I don't have any notes and I don't even know if I'll say what I wrote down. I just have to write it.
I feel like this is going to be just much more
yeah.
of a discussion kind of thing,
Yeah.
which is kind of what this should be anyway, so it'll be good.
And I have a little note. I don't know if this is something you'd want to do or not, but I have a quick note that just like says, I don't know how far we're going to get into it, but it just says that like it's important to acknowledge we're both white. We know we're both white women and we're doing our best to learn, grow. And if there's something we say, blah, 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 you know, because we're talking
I think
about
that you shouldn't, I don't think that we should make that like a statement. If it's something that you want to bring up more naturally, I think that's fine, but I don't think we need a disclaimer. I think that we're almost overly sensitive if you listen back to everything that we're saying anyway. I think we're totally fine. I don't think we're going to have any controversial on the negative side here. So I'm not that concerned about it, but I do think I think it's a good statement to have, but more naturally.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Just like, you know, acknowledging like that we're still learning and like if we say something wrong, we're totally open to hearing about it, that kind of thing. But because I think that's important when you're white people talking about race and you're on a platform, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm just thinking, like, whatever.
Just like we're saying our opinions and like let us know what you think and we're still learning and that's our thing. But if you don't want to like make a big deal out of it, then we won't. But it is like going to be a whole there's going to be a lot of talk about it, I'm assuming.
Oh, that's not. All.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's why we don't even know what we're talking about because we haven't discussed it. So let's just make it
and then
casual and like it always is. I think if we overthink it, it's going to come across like we overthought it.
Yeah.
And I think that what makes this good is us not doing that. Is us kind of So let's just not even worry about it. If it comes up, say it. If not, we don't say it and whatever.
Cool.
I think we're good.
It's so weird. It feels like we're doing this at night.
I know. I've been so confused all day long. But this can be part of our intro, which is good. We can talk about it. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and push record. Okay. Everybody, welcome to House Meeting Podcast. We are, of course, a podcast about Big Brother. And today's episode is strictly about the live feeds for week 5. I can't believe it's been 5 weeks already.
Wow.
But so this is a spoiler alert right here for you. We are going to spoil things. We are probably going to talk about a lot of things that will not get aired on the regular show. So if that's enticing to you, continue listening. If you don't like spoilers, which some people really don't, then you know, don't listen to this episode and then catch us at episode 14, which is our regular episode, and we'll discuss more what happens on the regular show. If you're listening, you probably already know this, but in case your friends want to know, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. You can also find us on social media, on Instagram and Twitter, and we are also on YouTube. We have our shows. We basically record our shows, right, because we're a podcast, but we let you listen to them live if you want to be on YouTube and check us out. There is a chat there, so you can chat to us if you have questions for us or anything like that. So go ahead and go over to YouTube. It's a really weird URL because we don't have enough followers to get a custom one quite yet. So just go to YouTube and then search House Meeting Podcast, and you should be able to find us. If you have feedback for the show, email us at housemeetingpodcast@gmail.com or fill out our contact sheet on our website at housemeetingpod.com. And of course, we are on Patreon. It's my favorite part of this show. If you are enjoying listening to us, please consider making a donation to the show at patreon.com/housemeeting. So today, Ellen is here with me, and we're going to, of course, discuss this wild roller coaster of a week on the feeds. But first, I gotta say, this is a weird day to be recording because it is it's 1:43 right now on Wednesday, but it looks like it might be midnight. I mean, it's crazy. We have these crazy fires going on in California, and all the wind is just blocking out the sun.
Yeah, California, if you don't know, is having wildfires right now for a multitude of reasons, but one of those reasons is because people are having gender reveal parties with fireworks during record 121-degree weather.
I don't even, I cannot understand. I don't understand how some people even survive day to day when they're making decisions like that. It's in the middle of a pandemic too. Like there's so much wrong with like the headline that I read was something like gender reveal party pyrotechnic starts 700,000 acre fire. And I was like, I don't need to read the article.
Having a party.
Yeah, there's so much wrong with this scenario just from the headline. Like I get it. Like oh my God.
It's ridiculous. So the sky is orange here.
Yeah.
We're both using, if you're watching on YouTube, we both have lots of artificial light right now.
Totally.
It's just pitch black in our houses.
Yeah, it's so weird. All the lights are on all day long.
I kind of wondered if they experienced it at the Big Brother house, but I don't think that they're having. I think the orange sky thing is in Northern California thing.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of fires down south, but I think that wind is blowing up, not down. So I don't know, but they
really
actually
exactly know what's going on.
So I was watching the news this morning, and some of what we're getting right now is like the smoke from even the Oregon fires. So it's coming down. So maybe in the next couple days they'll have orange skies.
Yeah.
You never know. But I guess in the next couple days they're probably going to be locked down in the house anyway. So I don't know. Yeah. It'd be kind of a trip to see that on the feeds. But then everybody out there who's not in California can understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, dude, this week, I mean, I even had to call Ellen halfway through the week because I was like, I'm sorry, but I can't wait. I know that we should just be saving all of this for the show. But like, what the heck is going on in this house? I cannot handle everything.
It's wild. And I'll say the past few weeks, for some reason, I wasn't in the groove of watching the feeds actually live. I would go back and watch things, and I'd like read Joker's updates and then go back and watch the highlight kind of things. But this is the first week that like I had a couple just monotonous chores I had to do. So I would just like have my computer open, and I just happened to be watching live for just some of the craziest things that went down.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. It was so fun, and it made me, well, not really fun. Fun's the wrong word, but it was so entertaining. Whereas some of the last few weeks have not been as entertaining. Back in it.
Yeah, totally. It was a little cringy of a week.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but my emotions were very up and down the whole week, just trying to figure out like. I'm trying to side with certain people, and then I'm like, I don't know if I should be siding with them. It doesn't feel right, but then I'm also like, I think that they're a good person. So anyway, I think this all started. So I think the drama all started with a basement comp, which we saw on Wednesday's episode, or I guess Sunday's episode, and we'll talk about that in the other show. But when the feed came back from that, Danny was crying, Bay was crying, and Tyler was really upset. And I was like, but it took like an entire day to even figure out why everybody was so upset. But the whole
And to
house,
figure out who won.
yeah. So it was so tense. Everybody was very tense, and I had a hard time figuring out why. Even now, the only thing I did pick up on was that Danny, I think, got hit in the head, and she felt like it was on purpose, and she thought it was Bailey. Now, that I thought was going to be the biggest drama of the week right there. And I was way off.
No, they didn't even air that at
No.
all because they were just like, there's too much.
Yeah. So I forget what day that they even played that. That must have been, gosh, I don't know. I get so confused with everything in this.
Friday?
Yeah, maybe Friday. So then Saturday and Sunday, Tyler tried to self-evict both days.
Yes.
So, of course, self-evicting, it's kind of fun for the viewer because you're like, wow, like how bad does it have to be for you to self-evict? It sounded to me from what I read and everything that Tyler tried to self-evict Saturday and Sunday, but the producers convinced him to stay. Or if he left like that, it was going to be against his contract. I think that's more what it was. And he didn't want to break his contract. Maybe, like, I think, this is a theory I have. I think that if it were another scenario, he would have just broken the contract because I truly think he wants to just go home. He doesn't want to make jury. He doesn't want to be away from Angela anymore. He's just done. Like, he doesn't want to be here anymore. He's over it. But
and going back to, there was like, sorry, I interrupted.
yeah,
You go
just
first.
hang on. So if he breaks his contract, it's not only breaking his contract for Big Brother, but Tyler is CBS's like golden boy. So he could go on Survivor, he could go on Amazing Race, but if he breaks his contract, it's not going to look good and they're not going to like it. And on some level, he is a business guy, and I think he knows that. So as much as he wants to go home, he doesn't want to break his contract to do it.
Well, also he has his business at home. I'm sure so many people, I'm sure their business got a big bump from fans.
Oh, of course.
And so if you're relying on that, fans aren't really fans if you quit the game.
True. Yeah.
So, I mean, I get mental health, totally get it, but I see how that's a hard decision to make.
Yeah. And so whatever happened Saturday and Sunday, he was convinced to stay.
Well, one thing that happened before that, though, was before he even made that decision, there was like this conversation that I watched with Danny and Nicole and Davon. And they went into the have not room and they were just like, let's talk. And they were just like, we are being convinced against each other. And so this was before.
Okay.
And they were like, I was told that you're going against me. You're told that we're going against you. Like that whole thing came out where it was like, wait, why are Danny and Nicole going against Davon and Bailey?
Yeah.
But
they were.
Truly, I think they
But they weren't
yeah,
they?
Exactly.
So like, why is it even a conversation?
I think Davon was I think Davon believed that this was the story, that the guys were pitting them against each other. And I think that Danny and Nicole were like, yeah, totally. Oh my God, isn't that crazy?
Okay.
But that being said, I think deep down, Danny and Nicole were trying to find an out because, especially Danny, specifically Danny, probably not Nicole, but Danny was trying to find an out because everybody was talking about her last week in her alliance, and she kind of heard some like stories, or she heard people talking about that they wanted her out within the alliance.
Okay.
And so I think she was feeling like, this might be my out. Like, what if I start a new alliance or get started, even if it's a fake alliance, get them to go after the guys and then I don't have to.
Okay.
I think that was her process. Nicole was just sitting there, like, not saying a single word.
Okay.
And then they like went into Christmas's room and told Christmas everything, or Nicole did. And it seemed, and Nicole was like, she was like, so do you believe Davon?
Wait, is that the all-girl alliance that happened?
This was before.
Okay, that was all
So
before that.
before
Interesting.
Tyler.
Okay.
So
I
they
didn't see
went
that.
in. The reason I think this is interesting is because when Nicole went into the HOH room to talk to Christmas, she said, like, she told her the whole story. She said, this is what Davon said. She said that Tyler told him this, blah, 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 blah. He said, she said. And then Christmas says, do you believe Davon? And she was like, kind of, yeah. That was my best impersonation of Nicole. But she was like, kind of. And she was like, honestly, like there are some of the guys in our alliance I don't trust a whole lot.
So were Day and Bailey already on the block at this point?
No.
Oh, okay. So this was before
Before
Noms. Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. And so so Nicole says flat out, there's honestly, when she's just in a room with just her and Christmas,
Yeah.
she says, honestly, there's some guys in the alliance I don't trust a whole lot.
Okay.
I feel scared of.
Okay.
And Christmas said, who? And she wouldn't say.
Okay.
She kind of skirted around. So I think that was interesting because you rarely get the edits, I think, on TV are trying to make Danny and Nicole look so good that they're making it look like the alliance is like still together, I think, more so than it really is. And
Yeah.
I feel like they're really not showing that some of them are plotting against each other. I think it's tricky with Nicole because I do believe that Nicole has some sort of pre-game thing with Cody.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think that she might be talking about Tyler. She might be talking about Enzo. She might be talking about Memphis. I don't know, whoever. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because it happened beforehand. And then Christmas was like, oh, well, maybe I should make a move. And then she was like, well, I don't know. Actually, I shouldn't because that's the alliance. And
Interesting.
it just started that. And then I kind of like didn't watch feeds for a second, then came back and this whole thing had exploded with Tyler.
Yeah. Okay. So Tyler then, so I guess after that happened, then Tyler wants to quit Saturday, Sunday because he's sad. And he also, I guess he felt guilty about, so Bailey and Davon ended up on the block. That's who Christmas put up. And then Tyler felt like it was his fault. He felt like it was his fault. I don't know if he really felt like it was his fault.
Is that what the issue was?
Yeah, so
because that's where I'm confused because we didn't see that. So
no.
For the people who don't have feeds, they cut out the feeds the entire time that Tyler and Christmas had the big conversation.
Well, so they don't. We're not even there yet. So Tyler wants to go home. He goes to Bailey and Day, who are on the block, and says, he basically says he has a confession to make. He confesses everything that he's done in the game to these two and says, I think I'm the reason that you guys are on the block. I don't think it's fair that you guys are on the block. I think I'm an ally. He specifically named being an ally to, I don't know what wording he used, minorities, people of color, or something like that. And he says, I don't want you guys to go home. And I do want to go home. I see how much you guys want to be here. I don't want to be here. So I'm going to go tell Christmas that. And so what has already happened is he's tried to self-evict and that was going to break his contract. So I think what he's done now is come up with a different plan. Okay, so he tells Day and Bay, and then he says, I'm going to go tell Christmas to use the veto, because she won the veto as well, and to put me on the block. And then I can go home and I will tell everybody else, just vote me out.
Yeah.
So then he goes upstairs and has a 2-hour conversation with Christmas. We weren't able to see it. We don't really know exactly everything that went down there. And what we do gather is that Christmas told him, okay, sleep on it. Let's not think about it anymore. You sleep on it, make sure, because something about Angela can have you for her whole life. You know, we just have you for 2 months or something like that. So Christmas is trying to get him to stay. Now, don't forget, Christmas and Tyler have a final 2.
Yeah.
I don't think that's definitely not Tyler's actual final 2, but it might be Christmas's. So she wants him to stay because she feels protected by him. So anyway, so that happens. And Christmas doesn't use the veto. So something happened between that conversation and this. And from what I can understand, she told Tyler that she wasn't going to use it. And then Tyler went to Bailey and Davon and helped them with their veto speech without telling them that she wasn't going to use the veto. So he, at this point, it seems, knew that they were still going to be on the block. He could have warned them. He could have told them. But instead, they were both blindsided because they thought that they had been given this gift and that both of them were going to be safe.
Well, and also, they weren't just blindsided by Tyler. They were also blindsided by Christmas, who made a fake alliance with Davon and Danny and Nicole that, as viewers, is a fake alliance. But unfortunately, I don't know that Devon truly knew it was a fake alliance.
Yeah.
Um,
Yvonne has trusted every alliance that she's been put in, and none of them have actually been real.
yeah, I truly think that Danny kind of wanted it to maybe be real, and I think they were all towing the waters of like, is this going to be real? But then they asked Christmas, and
No, Christmas
said,
definitely blew
and then
it up.
Christmas was like, no. They were like, who are you loyal to? Which the only reason Nicole would ask that is because she's questioning
Of course.
whether or not she is. Otherwise, they'd all just be like, this is fake, right?
Yeah.
And then Christmas was like, well, obviously the committee. Is that what it's called? Yeah, the committee. And it's like, are you serious?
Like,
I felt like, come on.
Yeah, and how can she be so blind that like the committee is a non-thing, but she is so incredibly loyal to it.
It's like you're the first to go in that
but she
group,
doesn't.
right?
She must not. And
She doesn't. Yeah.
her moves this week have been very frustrating.
Also, things she's been saying very frustrating.
Yeah. So, God, I mean, I don't even know where to go from here. So one of the hot topics is that people are saying that Tyler is racist because he used the Black Lives Matter movement to his benefit in this whole situation. And that may or may not be true. We have no idea why he did that. Maybe it was like a Dan type move. Maybe he did use it. I don't know. He doesn't strike me as that kind of person. He actually strikes me as a pretty sensitive guy who wants to go home to his freaking girlfriend. So like it would surprise me if that was really his intention. Intention or not, sometimes you end up being racist without intentionally doing so. Yeah. So was he racist? I don't know. I'm not the one to decide that. But what is strange is that he put himself in this very strange position, super ready to go home, and then suddenly isn't going home, but then doesn't say anything. There's a puzzle piece missing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my question, that like I don't think that we can really make there can really be a statement on Tyler's motives because that puzzle piece is missing, because the question is like, I have a few questions. One of them is why? Okay. One of them is, did you know for sure that you weren't going up?
Yeah. So
and if that's the case, then my second question is, why did you pretend like that was
like the plan was still happening?
For sure thing. Yeah. And why? And I have those same questions for Christmas. Mm-hmm. Obviously, she knew.
Yeah.
But the second question, why did you pretend? Like, why? And that seems to be her gameplay the whole week. It's like, well, I'm not going to tell anybody who I'm putting up because the rules are this. And it's like, okay, well, every single other week of Big Brother in the entire 20 years of it being on, people have said who they're putting up.
Right.
And it's a rule so that the whole house doesn't know for sure, because it makes the show really boring. But you can tell your alliance member, or you can tell whatever. Like,
she's definitely
really weird.
She's using it as an excuse, which is a thing we'll get to, but she's been doing that all week. She's making decisions, and then she's getting called out on them, and then she's making excuses for why she made the decision, but the excuses are extremely weak, in my opinion.
Yes. So is
really Tyler racist? I don't know. If he truly knew that, see, I don't even know. It's hard. I don't know. I really think he wanted to go home. And then I really think that Christmas stopped that for some reason. I don't know how. I don't know why. It was something in that 2-hour conversation. But for him to then not go and tell Bay and Daily, oh my God, it's so hard. For him to not go and tell Bailey and Devon is weird.
Yeah.
Which is why
I think it is weird too. And like, whether it's racist or not, it's a little mean.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely mean.
So I just don't really know. I think part of whether or not it has, I think part of it is like, I think he wanted to go on the block for a multitude of reasons, not just because there were 2 Black women on the block. I think part of it was also because he felt guilty about what's happened with Bailey. He wants to go home himself. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of things. It would be really different if Tyler like went in front of the house and was like, I'm going to go on the block because I'm a white man and there's two black women on the block and I'm going to be a hero. And then like went to Christmas and then was like, by the way, let's not do it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the story people are telling. And like,
yes.
I
Yeah.
really like don't think that story tracks in
It
any
doesn't.
way, shape, or form. And that's not to say that it isn't wrong to like kind of use
Well, you're
that as
toying
your
with
reasoning
people.
and then not follow through with it. I see, but that's not like the only reason. I do think he tried to go home.
I truly think he wanted to go home. I think that
Yeah.
was his intention. I do also feel like, I don't know. I got into some trouble on Twitter. I got into a little Twitter trouble this week. And it's because I really don't think that he knew for sure.
I don't think so either.
I think that Christmas told him, like, hey, it's not my responsibility to take you off the block, which is what she kept saying, or to put you on the block so that you can go home. That's not something that should happen on my HOH. You do that on your HOH. And she was kind of being all attitudey about it later in the week. And I feel, I don't want to say he's innocent in this because I don't know, but I don't think he would have gone to the lengths that he did in talking to Bailey and Devon if he wasn't sure of it.
Yeah.
So I really feel like this comes down to Christmas, not Tyler. I guess that's really the point I'm trying to make.
That's what I was going to say is this whole Twitter thing about Tyler is completely distracting from the fact that both Christmas, Danny, and production have made some really racist moves.
Yeah.
And one of them that I want to talk about that happened on feeds this week is Christmas talking about, I don't have the exact quote in front of me. I kind of wish I did, but I didn't take good notes this week. But she said like she was about to put up Bailey and Devon on the block.
Oh, yes.
She was like, someone's going to shoot me. Someone's going to stab me. Someone's going to come after me. Oh my God, I'm so scared.
Yeah, I'm going to get stabbed in the eye with a fork is what she said
what
too.
Are you? And so, okay, so there's that. There's been a bunch of Danny stuff. And here's the thing. Production didn't air any of that. And when we're talking about performative allyship, which
Yes.
is the buzzword everybody's talking about with Tyler, here's an actual solid example of performative allyship.
Yeah.
Big Brother putting a conversation with Devon and Kaser about Black Lives Matter on air,
Mhm.
and then not airing the actual racist remarks that happened within this season.
Right.
That is telling the world, by the way, we like people of color, we are pro Black Lives Matter, and then not showing, being like, oh no, but we can't let them know we cast somebody that says this.
Right.
And that is exactly an example of that.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me frustrated, because it's like, the whole show you're watching has a lot of issues with this. And
Yes.
it's also a show that is a sample of people from the country that you live in.
Yeah.
And it just is, I'm not saying that means it's good, but I'm saying that like everybody in this house is flawed,
Mhm.
and let's pay attention to the people that are outwardly being extremely problematic in the house and talk about
Right.
Christmas. Because
Well,
what
yes.
the hell?
So speaking of Christmas, then later, I guess this was Monday. So Monday they had a barbecue. Feeds were off for the barbecue, but they got a lot of alcohol. And I came back after it was over because I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And there wasn't really much going on. A lot of people were taking little naps. And I remember I saw one part where Enzo, I think, was talking to Cody or something. And Cody was like, oh, where's Christmas? Because they were in the HOH. And he's like, where's Christmas? And he's like, oh, I don't know. She's downstairs on the couch. She's drunk. So that happened. Or he said she's passed out. She's drunk or something like that. And I was like, oh, man, they must have had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, about an hour, maybe 2 hours later, I turned on the feed, or actually I think I went to bed, and I'm just checking Twitter one last time before I go to bed. And
so it's how it happens.
it's the worst because I shouldn't have done it, because then I didn't go to sleep for like 2 more hours.
Because everything happens at 1 a.m.
Yeah, so then Christmas and Devon are chatting in the bathroom, and Christmas asks how Bailey's doing, and Devon tells her the truth. She's not doing well. She thought you guys were really good friends, and you put her on the block, and then you were actually given this way to take her off the block without like getting any dirt on your hands. Nothing was going to happen, and you still didn't do it. So she's hurt, and she doesn't really feel like chatting with you right now. She's upset. And this went on for a while. This was probably about a 20-minute conversation that ended with yelling and Christmas clapping at Devon, which I'm sorry, but like if you're in an emotional state where you're clapping because you're angry with a friend or even just a roommate at this point, like settle down. Go up to your HOH room, calm yourself down till you can have a regular conversation. Well,
and that's what happened. Devon was like, I'm not doing this right now. And she just walked away.
Yeah, she went outside and she had some good rumblings when she was outside by herself saying
I didn't see that.
I didn't. I saw just a little bit of it, but she said something about how like Christmas didn't even really win anything. All she did was not answer. I won that for her by not by answering incorrect. And it's just like, she's not wrong. Devon, you know, a lot of people were like, well, Devon had just as much a part of that kind of, we'll call it a blow up as Christmas did. And I'm like, she stayed very calm.
Yeah, she did.
I think some of the things she was saying, she was sort of like egging her on a little, but she's on the block. So she's also pissed. You put these people on the block. And Christmas, I truly believe, considering her comments that she made about being stabbed in the eye, she's been waiting for this conversation for 4 days.
Yes.
So she was defensive from the second Devon started talking to her. Yeah. And I think that raised her emotional level to a point of clapping. So then Bailey came into the bathroom at the very tail end of the conversation, doesn't really know what's going on. And she was actually surprisingly just based on her past season that I saw in these types of situations, she was very calm.
Yeah, she was like, Christmas, I'm going to give you a second to take a breath, because what you're coming at me with was the conversation you just had with Devon, not with me. So like, take a second, which I thought was great, because I know that Bailey has a lot of faults and she's working on her anger issues.
She definitely has anger problems.
I could tell that she learned that in therapy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was like, oh, your therapist told you to do this.
Yes.
And so now you're telling somebody else too. But that's okay. I do that with my therapy too.
Yeah. She gave Christmas a break to collect herself, and Christmas took a good second and a half to do so, and they started talking, and then I think, if I remember correctly, Bailey kind of started amping up a little bit. And so she took herself out of it. And she was like, look, let's just not talk now. Let's just hold off for a second. Christmas started walking away. And then Christmas turned around as Bailey was walking out of the bathroom. Christmas saw that as Bailey coming at her, which I don't know if you've watched
Bailey
this.
Turned around?
No, Christmas turned around to go back into the bathroom, back to Bailey, but Bailey had been walking out of the bathroom. And Christmas saw this as Bailey coming at her. And I did not see that at all. From my perspective, sitting on my couch, it looked like Christmas came after Bailey and was ready for round 2. And so she's got fingers in her face, and Bailey's like, get your fingers out of my face. Yeah. Like... And you can, I mean, honestly, and one of the things that made me very sad in this particular moment was that Bailey was like, Christmas, get your hands out of my face. If I did that to you, I can't do that to you. Yeah. I cannot do that to you because I will be crazy. I will be seen as the crazy black woman. You are doing what I cannot do. So please stop doing that. And it was like, that to me is something I don't think will be aired. And that is a very good example of like the differentiation in the house. Because she's absolutely right. It's the same reason Devon had to go outside. Devon can't scream back at Christmas the way Christmas is screaming at her, even though Christmas claims that she was. And it's just crazy. The perspective. No
matter how they interact, they're already screaming, even if they're talking how you and I are talking right now. And that's how everybody sees them. And that's what happened. They showed like a tiny bit of that on the episode, but like, where they were showing Danny goes and talks to Bailey, and she's like, Danny's like riling her up, and Danny's getting all heated, and like Bailey responds, and then it's like the storyline even from Tyler was like, why did you blow up? And it's like, I know she's not the greatest communicator, but it is night and day how like Danny's allowed to be as mean as she wants. Nicole's allowed to be as mean. Everybody's like Christmas, like all these white women are allowed to do whatever they want. But then as soon as Bailey or Davon defend themselves, they're being aggressive at all. And it's
and if you go back
obvious. It's crazy watching it. It's obvious. Like they're gonna go home and they're gonna.
Yeah, if you go back and watch this, and I wish I had some clips. I don't really, but it's incredible how it went down, and then how Christmas told the story later versus how Bailey and Davon tell the story later. Because Bailey and Davon, I felt, downplayed even the whole thing a little bit, like because it wasn't a giant blow up, right? We've seen way worse, but it was very tense. Nobody hit each other. It was very tense. It was an argument. But from Christmas's point of view, it was a blow up. She was attacked. People came at her, and she didn't understand why she was being bullied.
This coming from someone who's a convicted felon.
Right. Yeah, I don't even need to get into that, but she's
related because
for sure.
Would they ever cast a black person who is a convicted felon who like tried to hit someone with a car?
I mean, I highly doubt it.
So, and that I don't think so, and so I think it is related. And
it
I think
is.
that, like, Christmas's privilege is just a little bit all over the place right now.
It's everywhere, and honestly, she looks gross. And we haven't even talked about her argument here. We've only talked about the volume level, and we don't even need to get into it that deeply because it's nonsense. But all I heard, and I rewatched it last night, and all I heard was her trying to make any kind of excuse she could for why Davon and Bailey are on the block when she truly could have made, and this was Davon's point, was that she could have easily taken one of them off, put Tyler up. Tyler goes home. Oh my God. Davon and Bailey aren't mad because she did this for them. She could have come out clean. But instead, she chose to keep them on. So Tyler's not happy. So Bailey's not happy. So Davon's not happy. But Christmas, I truly think she knows she made this mistake, but she's too prideful. So instead of owning up to it, instead of apologizing, which she never has once apologized for putting her friend on the block.
Yes.
She finds she's grasping for a reason why. And her reason was it's not her responsibility to do Tyler's work. Over and over again, she said this. And I'm like, he just wants to go home. Let the guy go home.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here.
Sure.
Just because I do think it kind of would have been a bad game move for Christmas because, at least from her perspective, she thinks that the commission is this really solid alliance that has her back fully through and through. And that Tyler is her final two, truly through and through. And from that perspective, which I don't think is correct, but if that is what she thinks, I don't think it would have been a great game move. That being said, she put them up in the first place. She was the one that said she was going to do it to them. Like, she didn't need to tell them she was going to do this move and take Davon off and put Tyler up. She didn't need to tell them that. She could have been like, no, I won't do that. She could have told Tyler, like, I'll never do that. Sorry. And could have said it from the beginning that she wasn't going to do it. That's not telling production what she's going to do or not. It's just saying she's not going to do that move.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have no excuse. Like, her whole thing too with even putting them up was like this because she said they were untouchables. Like, everything is an excuse. Like that. Yeah. What does that even mean? Why didn't you just say because you guys are really close? Like, I don't know. It just is. Everything feels like this weird. She has to repeat the same words over and over, and it's really weird and like kind of it's like a defense mechanism. I think she's just like, this is my statement and I'm sticking to it, and it's like,
yeah, it felt very like she felt like a politician when she was talking.
Yes,
but like
exactly.
an unhinged one who's like who's waiting for this conversation. and had her whole speech planned, but then the conversation didn't quite go like she thought. And so now she's off book and she doesn't know what to do. So she's freaking out. Like,
she's just using the buzzwords
Yeah.
that her assistant told her to
Yeah,
use over and over and over.
Exactly. And it was
weird.
just, it was weird. She wasn't even that on my radar of liking or not liking. I just didn't really care.
Didn't care.
But
yeah,
now
it's like, oh,
I'm
maybe
like,
she'll be good at comps or something. But yeah.
but now like I saw an ugly side. And I do not want her to win this game. I really hope she goes next. I would love it if whoever stays, which I actually don't know. I really don't know. It seems to be going back and forth a little bit. Not dramatically, but like some people seem to think that Davon's definitely going and some people think that Bailey's definitely going. And I'm
I
like,
kind of didn't know that. I thought it was just Bailey.
well, I think it is Bailey going home. But what Davon keeps saying that Bailey's not going home. And I don't know if she's just playing it up or...
I think she's paranoid.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of paranoid along with her. And I'm like,
She doesn't have a great read this season.
She doesn't have a good...
She's
no.
not winning comps and she doesn't have a great read.
No,
but
she's
I
not a good
really,
player.
Really love her.
This is the
not
thing.
great at the game, but I love her.
She is great entertainment. And that's all we want. We want great entertainment. We don't care about great players. We don't care how many comps you win. We want to watch something fun. And that was my big rant last week. It's like that we want Davon's, you know?
Also, she's a great actress. So one thing that she is good at is like in a conversation, making the person feel like she's being 100% genuine. She really means it. She has this bond with you.
Yeah.
It's me and you. This is our conversation. And then she leaves and like talks to the camera in a heart room or whatever. And it's like, I think she's really good at that too, which is a game style. So I guess that might be her thing. But
Yeah.
she's not great at the game. But I really want her to stay.
I know. So it's going to be interesting. Can I tell you, I was daydreaming the other day and I came up with a way that if I were in the Big Brother house, what I would do.
If you were who?
If I were just in the Big Brother house,
okay.
I came up with this idea of what I would do to communicate with live feeders as conversations were going on. So my hair is very long. It's like it's almost down to my butt now with quarantine and everything. And I was like, okay, so what I would do is I would wake up early one morning and talk to the feeders and be like, okay, look, when I'm talking to people, if I braid my hair, it means I don't trust them. If I put my hair in a messy bun up on top of my head, it means I totally trust them. And if I put it like in a low bun, then I'm not sure. But that's it.
That's cool.
That would be
Feeders would love that.
That's what I was
my
thinking.
God,
I was like, I
love
wish
it.
people would do something like this.
There's nothing people love more than when they talk to cameras.
Yeah.
When they get
Well, and that's
like that. There was one with Yvonne at the beginning of this week. It was so good. And I don't even remember. She just was laying out her plan, which I don't think went as planned. But,
No.
But it was very fun to listen to.
Well,
'Cause then
and
you got
yeah.
to watch her do it, and it was like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like I would necessarily like to just talk to the cameras. That's just not really my like MO. And that's why I was like, but what would I do? I still would want to communicate with them. And and that's what I came up with was like doing my hair in different styles as I'm talking to people. Cause then I just saw like this is me in my head. I saw like Twitter going like, oh no, she doesn't trust them, but she's supposed to.
Yeah. That would be so fun.
I know.
I think I would. I talk to myself a lot when I'm alone. So I think if I was like just laying and thinking, like it's called the love room, right?
Yeah, I think so. Whatever.
If I was like laying in that room and just thinking, I would definitely already kind of be mumbling to myself. And
Yeah.
I think I would be so aware that there were cameras that I would probably be like, okay, well, it's better if I just say this out loud
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm just going to look crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. I think that would be really cool that's great.
I'm hoping that me saying it on here because I'm not ever going to be on Big Brother, but maybe somebody in another cast might hear it and do it. Yeah. I think that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. Can we also just for one quick second talk about that? I haven't seen Memphis all week or even Cody.
Dude, I'm telling you, that guy's going to win. Well, so Cody's
kind of been there, but
Cody's been there. And just to, I guess, put the closing buttons on this, this conversation. One thing that I did like, and I kind of read that they ended up taking it back, and I don't know one way or the other, but Danny Cody and Nicole were all talking right after the kind of fight happened between Day and Christmas, and they all were definitely siding with Day. They were like, Christmas went off. She was kind of crazy. And I thought that was kind of cool. You know, they could be putting on a show too. Who knows? I can't imagine that everybody on this show is intentionally racist. So I don't think that they're.
Here's the thing. I have a hot take.
Yeah.
I kind of like Cody.
Oh, I've always liked Cody. And
I don't know if that's a hot take up, but it seems like people don't like him just because he's on the other side. And I used to kind of watch the show like that, and I realized that I wasn't enjoying it as much. Like if I just hated everybody that wasn't on the side. And so I like actively tried to stop doing that. And since I've done that, it's so much more fun because Cody is just kind of he seems just like a genuinely
nice
good guy.
I agree.
He seems like if he was your friend, he wouldn't forget your birthday. He'd just randomly be the guy that would just like show up and be there. And
he's a little douchey, and you know that going in.
But he's like douchey in like an exterior way. But I think like deep down, he's like a really good guy. His brother, on the other hand.
Oh no, I don't even want to get into Polly.
Polly is
not Polly.
I can't even believe they're related.
Cody is definitely the better brother. I feel the same way about Tyler.
It's fun watching Cody in the house right now because I don't know. I really hope he makes a move. He was the first HOH, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't really do anything with that HOH, but
there was nothing to do yet.
It was the first one, so I wonder if he would make a move. I really think he's going to go after Danny if he gets HOH.
I think so too. I think a lot of people will. I also, I feel the same way about Tyler, to be honest with you. I really like Tyler. I think he's a good player. If he wanted to go home, go home. Like, that's fine with me. But like, I think that's why I kept trying to, I wanted everything I was hearing to not be true. I don't want him to be racist, and I'm not going to be blind to it. I just haven't seen the evidence that proves that he even has been doing these microaggressions, and so like if somebody can provide that to me, like I'm all about it. Like I want to know the truth, but I don't know, I'm not seeing it. And because I feel like he's a pretty genuine person. I don't know him, but I don't know. It's interesting. I do feel like more of this came from Christmas than him.
Yeah. And what I do see is that maybe he was with good intentions trying to do this like heroic move.
Yeah.
And that in itself can be a little weird sometimes.
For sure.
But he's not the one that decided not to go through with it. Regardless, he's not the one that decided. He might have made a mistake by not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not the one that decided to not go through with it. It was Christmas. And we all know that. That's the information that we do know. And we don't know what happened in that room. And we don't know any of the conversations. So I doubt we ever will, too. I don't think production's going to show. I kind of wonder if they're even going to tell the story that he...
I don't really think that I don't see how they could. They
might hide the whole thing.
100%. They don't want the audience to know that somebody wants to go home.
They also... This is unrelated, but sort of related. But they also hid in the last episode Danny's reaction to her power. And I just would like anyone who didn't watch the feeds to know that she cried after getting her power. Did you know this?
No.
She started bawling after getting her power after learning what her power was, because it wasn't a good power.
Oh, because she's not going to win any comps or something? What's her power?
She said, it's a shit power. Oh, I could say that on this one, right?
It doesn't matter. I don't care.
She was like, it's a shit power. And it's because her power is it can be used on yourself or someone else, but it can allow an HOH to play the HOH.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong.
It is. She's not wrong, but to cry about it is just such a classic, like, Danny thing. Actually, it's more of a classic Nicole thing, but it just shows that they're rubbing off on each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that. And then the last thing that happened is that last night, Cody found out that his grandfather passed away. And so nothing happened last night. Everybody was very quiet. They gave him his peace, and the whole house was pretty silent. And I think that's pretty respectable.
People came together. I saw that Danny and Tyler, even though they've been on pretty bad terms the past few days, made a thing out of Fruit Loops.
Aww.
Saying pop pop or something or whatever he called his grandpa.
Yeah.
They worked together on it, and
that's nice.
So everybody's just calming down, it was probably, I don't know, a good wake up call that like there's also real life in this game, and let's calm down and stop being.
But like, what a way to round up the week. I mean, everything happened in this house this week. It was honestly wild. It was pretty fun to watch. And I think it's only gonna get worse because right now everybody's just going with their alliance. What about when they can't?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it's gonna get crazy.
Who believes in the commission still? I think
Judge Christmas.
And Christmas.
Like that it blows me away how committed she is to the stupid alliance that no one cares about.
Have you heard the jokes? I want to say this before I guess tomorrow night, because I don't want, because if it happens, but sorry, that doesn't make any sense. Let me start over. But did you hear the joke that people are saying about how Julie? It's really true. Julie, every time somebody gets evicted, says like, by the way, did you know that Memphis masterminded everything?
Oh, yeah.
And so everybody's joking, like, how are they going to spin it so that this week was masterminded by
the guy Memphis sleeping? Yeah.
I kind of love that story. I can't believe he's just so missing from, like, I haven't even seen him. He's doing so little that the feeds they don't even
because everything
someone else is like singing or something.
No, because everything happens at night and he's asleep. I mean, literally, the guy is going to win by sleeping.
Yeah.
He's just taking a vacation in the Big Brother house. He's just on vacation.
He's like, It's like, my kids have been annoying me. I just needed to get away.
Yeah, it's just wild. But here we go. We're gonna do another week of this. We're gonna see what happens. I'm very excited. We're recording this on Wednesday. I'm very excited for tonight's episode to see how all of this actually plays out, because we didn't get to see a lot of it. I'm very excited to see what CBS is going to actually air. Yeah. This is probably the most excited I've been for a non-eviction episode like ever. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm
interested because it's a big move to either air it or not air it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're both big moves. So.
Yeah. And I hope they air something. They're going to have to say something. There's too much happened. So anyway, thank you guys all. Oops. God, I can't. It's like I either start it too early or the volume's turned down. So, whatever. Okay, here we go. I need to use my left and right hands. It sucks. Okay, here we go. Thanks again for joining us here at House Meeting Podcast. Thank you, Ellen, for joining me. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. We are going to talk to you again really soon. We'll see you Friday at the next House Meeting. That's actually exactly what I was going to tell you, is like, you and Sam always say something before it goes all the way out.
I'm sorry. I don't know why. Okay, go ahead.
I have to do the whole thing again? Ugh.
Sorry.
You suck. Okay. Thanks again for joining us here at House Meeting Podcast. Thank you, Ellen, for joining me. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. We're going to talk to you all again real soon. See you at the next House Meeting. Okay, now you can talk.
Sorry. Will you smile at the camera for a second?
Okay.
Okay.
What'd you do? Screenshot?
I took a screenshot, yeah. Do you want to see my couches?
Yes.
Really quick? Let me unplug my stuff.